As I continue to make videos about Jehovah's Witnesses and the downfalls of the organization that they represent, I will occasionally get comments. And I've seen these comments on other former members' videos as well. Comments from current members or people who are studying with the witnesses or people who just like the witnesses or whatever, asking why I continue to make videos. Why, if I chose to leave the witnesses, why do I continue talking about them? Don't I just want to be done with them? The short and long answer of all of that is yes, I do want to be done with them. I want to be totally and completely removed from this organization. That is why I took the step of totally disassociating myself from the organization. But I do not want to be totally disassociated and totally removed from my friends, from my family. I was in the organization for 30 years. And when I left, 95% of my friends and all of my family cut contact with me. And I knew it was going to happen. You don't stay a part of an organization like this for 30 years without knowing what the consequences are of leaving. But I'm reminded again and again and again that the witnesses, when they talk to people who are not witnesses, when they talk to governmental authorities, they say that their disfellowshipping, aka their removal procedures, are not only biblical, but they don't include family members.
As far as their family members are concerned, normal family relations continue with the exception of spiritual fellowship.
But I can speak from experience, former members can speak from experience, and current Jehovah's Witnesses can speak from experience in saying that that's not true. That immediate family members are shunned just like anyone else in the congregation would be shunned.
But they knew that if they had associated with me, even a little, just to check on me, that small dose of association might have satisfied me. It could have made me think that there was no need to return to Jehovah.
Well, a specific fear deals with one of my sisters who is disfellowshipped, and she had contacted me before my baptism and was encouraging me to keep in contact with her. And even though I do miss her and love her, I know that if I didn't maintain contact with her, it would be difficult to stop communicating with her if I started.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. Now, Melanie, how has Jehovah helped you overcome that fear?
Well, Jehovah has helped me cope in many ways. He gave me the courage to stand up to her and tell her that I couldn't communicate with her at all because I didn't want to hurt my relationship with Jehovah. And he also helped me with so much sorrow and loneliness and missing her. So growing my relationship with Jehovah through prayer and studying has really helped with this and all my fears.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that, Melanie.
It is with thunderous applause that Jehovah's Witnesses celebrate the dividing of households in this way, for they feel like they are following Jesus' words, that he would not bring peace but a sword and divide households. But this is not a personal decision by every member of Jehovah's Witnesses. This is a systemic rule, law, in fact, that the witnesses uphold. In the Shepherd the Flock of God book, which is the Elder's Manual for Jehovah's Witnesses, Appendix A is a list of things that can get you removed from the congregation. One subheading is called brazen conduct. Brazen conduct is defined as such. Rather than relating to bad conduct of a somewhat petty or minor nature, brazen conduct describes acts that reflect an attitude that shows disrespect, disregard, or even contempt for divine standards, laws, and authority. Therefore, two elements are involved in brazen conduct. The conduct is a serious violation of Jehovah's laws, And the attitude of the wrongdoer towards Jehovah's laws is disrespectful and insolent. Though this is not an exhaustive list, brazen conduct may be involved in the following actions. There are 2 items listed. The second one is dating, though not scripturally free to remarry, which touches on my previous videos, talking about how if you are divorced, although you have severed your marriage ties because the witnesses do not feel that your marriage ties are truly severed, they will not allow you to get remarried. In fact, they will not allow you to date, because dating, although not scripturally free to remarry, is an offense that will get you removed from the congregation under the subheading of brazen conduct. But more importantly, the point I wanted to highlight was the first point under this subheading, which is unnecessary association with persons who have been removed from the congregation or who have disassociated themselves falls under brazen conduct and is something that can get you removed from the congregation. I'll go ahead and read. There is a difference between simply greeting a person who has been removed from the congregation or has disassociated himself and socializing with him. A committee should be formed if, despite repeated counsel, an individual willfully and continually engages in unnecessary association with a non-relative who has been removed from the congregation or who has disassociated himself. From that, it sounds like relatives are included in here, but there's a secondary paragraph. A committee should be formed if, despite repeated counsel, an individual persists in associating with a relative who is promoting apostate teachings or wrong conduct. When I told my parents I would be disassociating, they told me that they would cut contact, that they would be holding to the standards that have been set before them. And like I showed earlier, the congregations are encouraged to cut contact with family members who have been removed from the congregation, who have been disfellowshipped, or who have disassociated themselves. I was reading from the most up-to-date Elders book, but I wanted to read a passage from the 1991 Elders book regarding disfellowshipped ones who are close relatives. Normally, a close relative would not be disfellowshipped for associating with a disfellowshipped person unless there is spiritual association or an effort made to justify or excuse the wrong course. Back in 1991, they were saying that you wouldn't automatically be disfellowshipped for associating with someone who was a close relative. And yet, the congregations are told, are encouraged to totally cut contact and to totally shun their family members who have been removed or who have disassociated themselves. So I continue to speak out because it doesn't matter if I am considered an apostate by my family. They wouldn't talk to me anyway. I continue to speak out because the organization, what it practices, what it preaches, and what its actual rules are, they aren't in alignment.